Before I introduce Melanie, I just want to quickly explain to you how the two of us ended up here today. Because 2 years ago, I had no idea who Melanie Mitro was. And I was feeling in quite a funk and depressed and not happy with myself. And I would have shown you a picture of what I looked like at that time. With my belly hanging out, my before picture, and my sports bra, and the frown on my face. And so I stumbled across Melanie's blog while I was looking for some clean eating recipes. And I don't know what it was about her, but something just connected, and I felt like I could trust her, and it was a safe place. And I ended up joining a challenge group with her, which I initially wanted nothing to do with, but I think we've all been there. No, I'm not doing Shakeology. Oh, okay, I guess I'll try it. Oh, I guess I love it. So I ended up losing 35 pounds with T25 And next, as a good coach does, Melanie introduced the coaching opportunity to me. And again, I wanted nothing to do with that. I don't post on social media. I don't want to tell people what I'm doing. And obviously that has changed, and I'm now a coach. And I work as a dietitian, actually, so coaching is just a natural extension for me of what I do. And honestly, in the 2 years that I've been coaching, I've seen more success with these programs than I have in 13 years of being a dietitian at the hospital. So it's incredible. Yeah. And I also have the very best coworkers, all of you that are here in this room. So Melanie and I have been chatting every week now for the past 2 years since I've been a coach. And as a brand new coach, she really encouraged me to sign up to host a Super Saturday. And I didn't know what she was talking about, but went online and did it. And it was myself and my best friend Heidi, who is a coach here in the audience. And there were 5 of us in my high school gym, and we took some blenders and went into the home ec room and whipped up some Shakeology, and that was our Super Saturday. And once I was done, I talked to Melanie and said, so what's it going to take to get you to come to speak at one of our Super Saturdays? And this was before there was a market council and before I was on a market council. And she said to me, when you can get 500 people, I will come to do Super Saturday. And so a little while ago, I called her up and said, the venue holds 450 people. Is that going to be enough? And so here we are. And it is my great pleasure to introduce 2 times top coach, let me get all these numbers right, superstar 3 times elite, my coach and friend, Melanie Mitro.
All right, so you guys came far and wide to be here today, right? Made some sacrifices to be here. So, anyways, I am really honored to be here. And let me just say that I had a method to my madness when I told Megan how many people that it wasn't because like you weren't worthy if you didn't have 450 people, right? I told the Diamond Breakfast crew this morning. When I was starting as a coach, and I'm going to tell you my story, but let me just preface by saying we had done our first Super Saturday where I attended in a clothing store, like a locally owned like sports clothing store, where they moved the racks out of the way and they set up chairs, and there was like 20 of us in this room watching this on this projector screen, the Super Saturday video, and I leaned over to my coach and I was like, we could do this better. And so we went and found a location, and we started with 30 people that came, and everybody in the room could tell their story because there was only 30 of us. And so each month, or every quarter, we would say, how can we do it better? How can we make this Super Saturday better? And literally, it was myself, my sponsor, and my upline were the only Beachbody coaches in Pennsylvania, in Western Pennsylvania, where I was from, in that small area, a little bit north of Pittsburgh. And so we worked at it, 75 people at the next event. And then Lindsay Matway is actually, I'm in her downline, so I'm about 3 levels deep from her. And we went to her and we said, what would it take to get you to come to Pittsburgh? And she had told me, get 500 people and I'll come to your event. And so we worked hard. I mean, we begged people to come to Super Saturday. We offered free gifts, we brought a friend, we did all sorts of things to get people to come. We finally got her to come to Pittsburgh, and that was just the things we did leading up to it to get 500 people in an event, and now we bring in over 1,000 people in Pittsburgh for Super Saturday events. But it started with these small little goals, and our goal was to get Carl to come to Pittsburgh, and we've done that now 2 years in a row. And so what my message to you guys is you guys can do it too. You remind me a lot of Pittsburgh, of our small town where we didn't really have, who wants to come to Mars, Pennsylvania, right? From corporate, we're not a big city, we just were there's little nobodies, is kind of what we felt like at the beginning. And so we just worked until we created a reason for people to come to us. And that's what you guys have done. So, a round of applause for you guys. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story, but I'm also going to share with you the things that I believe have gotten me to where I am today. Some mindsets, some daily disciplines, some things that I feel you guys can actually immediately put into practice in your own lives. So don't go anywhere, don't leave. We're going to take a big group picture at the end, right?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. All right, so you see me standing up here, and you see this big name, right? 2-time top coach, big accolade. It just seems very far off. But I started out like almost all of you. Who came into the business because of a personal transformation? How many of you started? Raise your hands way up high. You started as a challenger, knew nothing about the business, really just were needing to change your life. That was me. Almost 5 years ago, it was May 2nd when I started my first challenge group. That'll be 5 years ago this May. And I had just had my second baby, so Bryce is now 5 and Landon is 7, but he was 2.5 and Bryce was just a baby. And I remember taking the clothes out. Do you guys switch your clothes around? Do you have like summer bins and winter bins? And so I was pulling the bins out of my closet and I was trying on my summer clothes. And when you have kids, it's like they magically shrink. What happened? I don't know why. My torso, nothing changed. But nothing was fitting. My jeans wouldn't fit. My clothes were uncomfortable. I felt awful. But we also had made the decision that we were going to become a single family income. I was going to quit my full-time job. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom because that was my ultimate goal in life, was to stay home and raise kids. I got my master's degree in special education. My undergrad is psychology, but I only did that as a security blanket. I wanted to be home. I wanted to raise my kids. And so that meant sacrifice. That meant no eating out, no family vacations. I had to ask Matt if we had money in the bank account to go grocery shopping. And sometimes it was like, no babe, you're gonna have to wait until tomorrow or next Friday. And so joining a gym or getting a nutritionist or a personal trainer, that wasn't an option for us. So, you have those moments where you feel like your hands are tied and you can't do anything. And so I was sitting on the couch eating celery, and I made a post on Facebook about trying to lose weight. And my husband's high school friend, his wife, is the one that reached out to me and said, I saw your post about eating celery and wanting to lose weight. I just signed up as a coach and I'm running these challenge groups. Would you like to join me? And so I was like, sure, tell me what I need to do. And she said, well, you need to do a fitness program. And Shakeology was optional. So I didn't buy Shakeology. I did not buy a fitness program from her. I actually borrowed it from a neighbor down the street, and it was actually a burned copy of Insanity that I did, right? You would look at me and say, she's not a good candidate, right? She's not gonna go anywhere. And so I took my before pictures in my kitchen with my self-timer on my camera. And I saved those photos to a file in my computer underneath of another file, under another file, so that if I ever died, nobody could ever find my before picture, ever. I was mortified at the person I had become. But at the same sense, I felt guilty for feeling that way because I was blessed with 2 babies, so I can't complain, right? I'm thankful that they're in my life. But I needed that confidence back as a mom. I sort of had lost everything that was really kind of me in the process. And so I started with Insanity. Every day I would go to the basement, I would clear out in our storage room a little spot, put my laptop up, and I had ripped out a picture from a Shape magazine of Jamie Eason. She had her hand on her hip, and she was like, you want to change more than you want to stay the same. And I stuck that up on the wall. And I would cry, in the warm-up, and I would say I can't do insanity. I don't know why I chose insanity, the hardest workout, and I hadn't worked out in 5 years, right? And so here I am killing myself, cardioing myself to death. But what happened was I didn't lose any weight. I lost 2 pounds in 30 days. What would most people do? Quit. They would quit. And I went to my coach and I said, I don't know what's wrong. It's not working for me. I don't know what to do. I would find myself in bed at night with just kind of tears streaming down my face saying, I'm never going to change. My body's I'm never going to look any different. I'm always going to look like this. And she said, you know, Melanie, have you ever heard of clean eating? And she actually introduced me to clean eating, and Toscarino is the author of and so I went and bought the books and I read the book from cover to cover on our way to like a camping trip. And I started implementing it immediately in our life. I started grocery shopping. It would take me 3 hours to grocery shop, and then I would meal plan. And then what happened is over the course of the next month, I had lost, it was like 10 pounds in a month. And so I'd lost 11 pounds doing insanity, and I was really proud of my results. And so I did a before picture and an after picture. I did my side by side, and I dug out those pictures that were hidden that I never wanted to show anybody. And I showed my coach, and she was like, wow, you know, these are amazing results. And so she's like, I think you should be a coach. And I'm like, nope, not doing that. You know, I don't know what that is, but I'm not doing it. And so I started P90X. And so I started month 1 of P90X, and I loved challenge groups. And she met me at Starbucks, and we talked, and she brought all the stuff about coaching, and I went back to Matt, and I'm like, you know, Matt, maybe I would be good at this. I'm like, I might want to be a coach. And he was like, you're not doing that. He's like, that's a pyramid scheme, that's a ripoff. You know, if you want a job, we'll pay for you, we'll put the kids in childcare and you can go back to work. And I'm like, no, I really think I can do this. And so I kept thinking about it, right? I kept mulling it over. And it was July of 2011, and my birthday's in July, and so my family always gives money so we can buy ourselves clothes or whatever we want. So I took that money and I paid the $40 and I bought a bag of Shakeology and I signed up to be a coach. And I didn't tell him that I signed up. Because he was not on board. And so it took me a week to actually tell him that I signed up to be a coach, and still I got the same reaction, like, you are stupid. Enjoy that bag of powder because you're never buying another bag of Shakeology again. You know, and this is not gonna work. So, I mean, you think of the most unsupportive person in the world, that would be Matt. And he went out of his way to make my life difficult. I did not have a smartphone. We didn't have Wi-Fi. I had one of those old flip phones. So I had less than 100 friends on Facebook. No idea what network marketing was. I had to Google what a pyramid scheme is because I didn't even know how to handle that objection if somebody gave it to me. My reason for signing up to be a coach was that if I could make one person feel the way that I had felt through the challenge groups, like having that support system, other women that were maybe like stay-at-home parents that couldn't get out of the house like me, where I had this like friendships that I created, this positivity, this surrounding me, that's what kept me going. That's what keeps me pushing play when I didn't feel like doing it anymore. And I wanted to recreate that for other people. But teach them that nutrition is the biggest part of it. And that's really what I'm passionate about, is clean eating. I feel like that is the missing piece that people, you can work out, you can cardio yourself to death, but if you don't change the way that you're eating, your body's not gonna change. So that sort of was the start of my journey as a coach. And I, like many of you, when you sign up to be a coach, are overwhelmed beyond belief. There's so much information and you don't know where to start. And there was no Coach Basics. There was no trainings that were happening, right? We had just launched challenge. Actually, when I signed up to be a coach, there were no challenge packs yet. Those came out a couple of months after that. So we were just selling Shakeology on Home Direct. That was what we were doing. And so what I did was, the one thing that I will tell you guys is that I never ever for 1 minute thought that I wasn't going to be successful at it. You know, no matter how many times that Matt said, this is stupid, you're not going to be good at this, this is not going to be success, this is a ripoff, I never let him get inside my head. I just always knew that, yes, I was going to change one person's life. If I could do just one person, then I had made a difference. And so I started a challenge group. My very first month as a coach. And so the one thing, and I'll go through, I have a couple of key things that really helped me that were mindset but action. And the first one was vision. How many of you have created a goal board or a vision board? All right, so That's your assignment, if you haven't created one, is to go home and do that. So I got together with my coach and my upline, my start time and upline, and we got together at the kitchen table. We got out a piece of poster board. We cut out pictures out of a magazine. Now we have PicMonkey and all sorts of, Oprah.com has like a vision board creator you can use. But I started to allow myself to dream big. And we sat around my kitchen table and we said to ourselves, if the sky was the limit, what could we accomplish in the next year? And we started to write down these goals. And I'm like, man, we were living in a townhouse. I thought, I really want to buy a house. I really want to buy a house. And then I said, you know what? I've got all this school debt that is going to take me until my oldest, Landon, goes to high school to pay off. All my student loans from college that I'm no longer using because I'm a stay-at-home mom. You know, and my husband was always chirping in my ear about these student loans. So I put that on there. Success Club, the Success Club trip, Disney was the first year that I was a coach. I cut out a picture of Disney, found it, printed it out. What else? I had Success Club 5, 12 out of 12 months out of the year. I think I actually crossed it out and put Success Club 10. I put Elite on there, and this would have been my first full year as a coach. I put Elite on my goal board. I had no idea what Elite meant. I didn't even know how I was going to get there, but it sounded good to me. So I put it on my board. I had Get in the Best Shape of My Life. I had all sorts of things on there. And I took that goal board, and as silly as I felt, and remind you, I'm making Matt out to be really bad, and he's not. I'm going to get to this. But he was at the kitchen counter, and he was making a snack for the boys while we were sitting at the kitchen table doing this, and he was chuckling the whole time, going, you guys are crazy, this is so stupid, I don't know why you're doing this. You know, he was giving me all the pushback in the world. And I stuck that up in my little storage area where I worked out, my piece of poster board, and every day I looked at my goal board. Every single day. And I had this why, and my why was to help people. And my push goal that was written in the big of that goal board was not an income goal, but it was people. I wanted to transform 50 people's lives. So you know how Chalene Johnson, if you haven't read her book, go read 30-Day Push, but she talks about the push goal. It's the one goal that if you accomplish that, it'll make everything else on that board happen. And so that was my push goal. If I can help 50 people, it will help me accomplish Success Club and pay off my debt and do all those other things. And so that's what I got to work doing. I started to, I didn't look at the big picture. I mean, I had some lofty goals on there. Buy a house. We couldn't even pay for our groceries, let alone buy a house. How is that going to happen? And so many of us get stuck at the start. So we just get so overwhelmed when we write these big goals for ourselves, when we allow ourselves to dream big. Or maybe you were like me and I never asked myself what I wanted. Because again, my goal was to be mom. So I never said, well, what does Melanie want? I'm just the caretaker. I am not just, I am the caretaker. I am the wife. I am the chef. I do the laundry. But when I allowed myself to sort of dream, it ignited something inside of me that was like, oh wow, I can really do this. And what I did was I didn't look at the big picture, but I just looked at what I needed to do today in order to be successful. And so I started very, very small. And that's what you want to think about in this business is don't get stuck at the start. Don't look at the big picture of all the things you have to do, all the things you want to accomplish, but say to yourself, what do I have to do today? All right, let me just message some people. Make sure I post today. Make sure I start a challenge group. Hit Success Club every single month. I missed it my first month as a coach, but never again. I have, for 5 years, minus 1 month, I have hit Success Club 10. Never missed a month. And if you take that one action of hitting Success Club and we speak about it till we're blue in the face, if you were to duplicate that over and over and over again, not just 5, but 10, you would have success. You would have this compounding effect in your business. But don't look at the big picture of how you're going to get there. Look at what you need to do today in order to make it happen. The next thing that happened for me is personal development. So never read a personal development book in my life, but my coach told me to read The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. They talked about it on the Super Saturday video today. And so, again, not knowing anything about being the CEO of my own business, had no idea what I was doing, how an entrepreneur thought. I read that book, and the thing that stuck out to me is if you want to achieve success, you have to be willing to do what other people are not willing to do now, so that you can have what other people wish they could have 3 or 5 years from now. And that stuck with me. That really, really stuck with me. And what ended up happening is that started the whole thought process of, okay, get up every day. When that alarm would go off at 5 a.m., because I started to get up earlier and work out, I would say to myself, get up, get up, get up. You're awake, you're awake, you're awake. Get out of bed. You are going to do what other people are not willing to do so that you can have what they wish they can have 3 years from now. And I just got extremely focused on just getting up every morning and getting started and pushing play. And so that simple act, the things that I read in that book, they stuck with me. Those are the things that helped me create what I'm going to talk about next is discipline. And so every morning, selfie of myself working out. Some of you follow me for a long time, right? I love getting the messages of, you're the reason I got out of bed this morning. You're the reason I pushed play this morning. That is my reinforcement that I'm doing something good. And so I was like, I don't know how to be successful at this business, but I can just show people, if they show up, it's gonna work. And every morning I would think, I just want to inspire one person. And I would get up, my feet would hit the floor, I would go, I would take my pictures, somebody's counting on me, I need to work out. I will get there, I don't know how, but I was disciplined. I was extremely disciplined and I was consistent. And I would say to myself, 24/7, whatever it takes. 24/7, whatever it takes. I'm not giving this business a timeline. I'm not saying I'll give it 6 months. I'm not saying I'll give it a year. I know that it's going to work. I don't know how. I'm not sure what all the steps are going to look like, but I'm just going to do it. And it started with my workout, because the best way to be successful is to show that the products work. And so and I had to create credibility, because again, I didn't have a lot of followers. I didn't have a lot of, friends on Facebook. I had less than 100 friends. So I had to develop all of that. And so I would get up every day, 5 a.m. my alarm would go off. I'd go down to the basement, I would work out, and I would run upstairs as fast as I could, because you never knew who was gonna wake up first. If it was gonna be Landon or Bryce, because they weren't on quite a very good sleep schedule yet. And I would sit down at my rickety old laptop that I had to plug in, took 20 minutes to boot up, and I would check in, and I would type as fast as my fingers would go. And I would get to work. And I would message people, and I would invite, and I would follow up, and I would friend people on Facebook, and I would find people to follow, and I started building my own blog. And then if I got done with all the things I wanted to do, and the boys were still sleeping, I would do something else. But then what happened was I created discipline. As a stay-at-home parent, right, or even working full-time, we don't have unlimited hours in the day. So I had to create my own system, create my own schedule for myself. And I started doing that, right, by getting my Google Calendar out. And I would say, all right, from 5 to 6 is gonna be my workout. From 6 to maybe 7 is gonna be my power hour. And I'll give myself wiggle room if the kids wake up, maybe they'll watch a show for a half hour before they need to eat. And then I gotta be mom. But they're gonna go down for a nap every day at 2 o'clock, because then I know I can at least get another hour in the afternoon. And then when they went to bed at 9 o'clock at night, I went back to the computer and I sat down and I worked again for another hour. And I was disciplined to do that 7 days a week, 24/7, 365 days out of the year. What ended up happening is, those people that keep hitting snooze. Every time you would hit snooze, I would think, that's 10 minutes that I'm getting behind. Somebody else is getting ahead of me. Or maybe on Saturdays and Sundays when it's your rest day from your workout, I would still get up at 5 a.m. even though I didn't have to work out, and I would say, that's an extra hour for my business. That's an extra people I get to invite. I can write my meal plan. I can schedule out my posts for the week. And I started to think about, and I started to do that, right? So think about 6 months of that, even a year of that. How much further along I am in my business than the person that only shows up half the time. I have put in twice as many hours without completely disrupting my family. Because my husband, again, was not supportive. I was the sole caretaker at home, so I couldn't just let my kids run amok in the house while I was on the computer 8 hours a day. I had to be mom. And so I equate that to a lot of you in your full-time jobs, right? You have to be disciplined to show up even when it's really easy not to. And that's a big part of the slight edge is they're the little things. It's not any big thing that I did in my business that created this success, this huge success, but it was a series of small, seemingly insignificant things, like posting 3 to 5 times a day, 365 days out of the year, right? And messaging people every single day, following up with people, posting my workouts. Those things were the things that created that compound effect in my business. I attribute a lot of my customers and my success to my blog. And so a lot of people start blogs or start websites or even start like pages or Instagram, and they do it for a month and they say it didn't work. Well, no kidding. It took me 8 months to get my first customers off of my blog. 8 months of blogging 3 times a week before I saw the actual results of my hard work. Most people would give up. And that's why that's why everybody is not an elite coach. Because not everybody is willing to be consistent and disciplined to do the 3 vital behaviors every single day. And as crazy as that sounds, like that is the fundamentals, those are the basics of what truly does make a difference. So consistency and discipline, guys, I can't tell you, and it's not just checking off the box. It's not just working out to say I worked out, but say to yourself, I want to add value. Don't just post to post. When you make a post on Facebook, what's behind it? What's the reason behind what you're posting? And what I would do is I would wake up and say, I don't want people to think I'm selling them. I don't want people to think that I just want them to buy a challenge pack. But I want to help teach people how to live a healthier life. So what can I teach people today? And so whatever I was going through is what I post about. So if I'm struggling because the boys are up through the night or somebody's sick and I'm running on a few hours of sleep, but I know that my workout is the only 25 minutes I have to myself for the day and I'm gonna feel better if I push myself to do it, that's exactly what I say in my post. I don't wanna do it, I'm tired, but I need some sanity because my kids are driving me crazy. And this is the 25 minutes to me that's gonna set me up for success the rest of the day. Sweaty selfie, done. Maybe your Shakeology. Maybe talk about that, right? How many people get Shakeology objections? We all get them. So how do you talk about it? You don't rattle off all the nutrition facts and the ingredients on the back of the packaging. You tell people how it made you feel, how it made an impact in your life. And for me, the biggest thing for me was not wanting to fall asleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I was exhausted because the kids were up and I was busy and I was a mom, and let's face it, I wasn't eating right. But Shakeology, when I started drinking that for lunch, I stopped picking at my kids' chicken nuggets. I stopped eating what snacks they had. I stopped having that mid-afternoon slump where I wanted to just curl up on the couch and take a nap. I had more energy, my nails were suddenly stronger, and I talked about that. When I would take the boys and we would go to the park, you know, but what do most people do? They grab a drive-through, they grab a sandwich, they get fast food for their kids, they go to the park. You're playing, what do the parents usually do? The parents usually eat whatever the kids have, peanut butter and jelly, whatever and so I started to take pictures of my food. I had my Shakeology, I had my kids' healthy snacks, I had their grapes, their cheese sticks, their yogurts, and I would take a picture and I would narrate how we were going to the park and keeping it healthy. And I would talk about how as a mom, I stayed on track. And so I just, every single day, you know what, the first time I did this, the first time I started posting, even when I launched my business, nobody liked my pictures, right? Even after the first 30 days, every morning, getting up, sweaty selfie, maybe 1 like. I mean, it wasn't getting traction fast. The first time I advertised for a challenge group, I didn't get anybody. But I kept going because I believed in the bigger vision. I knew that this worked, and I just needed to get people to trust me, and I knew it would work. And so I was just relentless on my mission. And so that's a big piece of being a successful Beachbody coach, is knowing without a shadow of a doubt that no matter what, you're gonna be successful some way, somehow, and people are gonna believe you, and one day it's all gonna come together. And that really happened to me about the 3-month mark. About the 3-month mark, I ran into some people that I went to church with in the grocery store, and they said to me that they had been reading my blog every single day and following my journey, but not once did they like any of my posts on Facebook. And then I had somebody else that my mother-in-law was a teacher with tell me that she cooked with my blog up and on her iPad, and she had it saved in her favorites, and she followed my recipes, and she cooked with them all the time. And I'm like, okay, I'm making a difference here. But I was hitting Success Club. I was hitting Success Club 10, and I wasn't a diamond coach yet. It took me 9 months to become a diamond coach. So 9 months of this business. But what I did in the back of my mind was I just kept saying, keep going. Trust the process. It is going to work. And I kept showing up. And so consistency and discipline and before I would go to bed at night, I would say to myself, did I do everything on my list? And now, when I say that, it was the 3 vital behaviors. Did I invite? Did I follow up? Did I post 3 to 5 times a day? Did I do my personal development? Did I do my workout? Right? It wasn't everything, all the other things, but I stayed focused. The next thing is sacrifices. I'll be honest with you. If you want to be an elite coach this year, it's going to take sacrifices. And I don't mean that you have to sacrifice your relationships with your loved ones or you have to give up everything you enjoy, but you're going to have to make a decision that you really want to achieve that goal, and you're going to have to share that with the people around you so they know that it's a common goal. And they have to know what's in it for them. So for example, when we went to Disney the first year, I had to tell Matt why I was working and what I was working towards. And he didn't really get it until we got to Disney. Not really get it, right? Until we saw, okay, what the company was all about. But no goal is ever met without that sacrifice. So what did I do? I got up early. I have the same 24 hours in the day that you all have. It's what we choose to do with those 24 hours. And I was just listening to a podcast, and on there, the guy said the average person listens to or watches 4 hours of TV a day. 4 hours, I'm like, holy cow, I have not sat down and watched anything other than Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers in 5 years. I don't even watch the news anymore, right? I do not. So sacrifices, I got up early because I didn't want to interfere with my kids, and that's hard. I will tell you, it's hard to get up. I have to put the alarm on the other side of the room so I don't hit snooze. And then I would stay up late, and I sometimes ran on some extra coffee. But I would wait until the kids went to bed and I would stay up. I cut out all the TV that we watched, right? I stopped doing just extras. Messy house. My house was messy. Had a little extra laundry laying around. And just the extra stuff I just didn't have time for. But it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term comfort, honestly. I mean, if you think about, I just lived my life 5 years and I'm only going to be 34. So I've lived my life for 5 years the way most people are not willing to, so that today I have my kids' college tuition paid for, our house is paid off, we have no debt, paid $30,000 in student loans. We've been able to give back in more ways than when we just bought our dream home. We can now grocery shop whenever we would like, right? My son, I was telling the women this morning this, he wanted to sign up to play lacrosse. It's big in our area. We're one of the few schools that has a program for kids his age. That stuff's expensive. We just paid like $300 in lacrosse equipment. That would have been a month of groceries for us. We would not have been able to afford that. Being able to provide that stuff to my children is worth it. I will make the sacrifice. The sacrifice didn't come at their expense. It came in mine. I was a little tired for a while, but it was worth it. And so as you're sitting here and you're thinking, man, I just really wish that I could have just a piece of that. Why not? Why not you? You hold the power. It doesn't matter who your upline is. It doesn't matter if you're on a weak leg. It doesn't matter if your upline quit. It doesn't matter that you come from a small town. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. You determine where you're going from here. It doesn't matter if every card in your life is stacked against you. You determine where you go from this point forward. You are not entitled to success. You're not entitled. It doesn't matter where you've been. What determines your future is your daily actions. And these are all things you can do. I have no special training in this. I just believed that I was going to be successful. And when I say success, I don't mean top coach. I meant success was a Success Club All-Star where I was going on the Success Club trip. That was success to me. And then as I got into it, I'm like, well, maybe I could be a diamond coach. That sounds like a good idea. And then I started working on that goal. And then once I got to diamond and I had a working coach, I'm like, well, I need to train that working coach. But I didn't just want to train that working coach. I wanted to be the best trainer that I could be. And so I dived into how to train my team. And I learned. Nobody taught me. I just went out there and figured it out through watching podcasts, through personal development, through observing what other leaders did. And now you're at such an advantage because you have so many people that are put their videos public. You can literally learn from all the best and not even be a part of their organization, and you can see everything that they're doing. And that's just it. I took my goals and just took one bite at a time until I landed myself as an elite coach my first full year. So 18 months into the business, I was, at that time you had to be 2-star to be elite. So I was a 2-star diamond elite coach. And then the next full year, I went from 2-star to 5-star to 15-star to number 2 in the company in 12 months. Yes. And it was consistency, it was discipline, it was belief. It was the fact that I am a mom from Mars. I am not a supermodel. I do not bear it all. I don't, I'm the tankini girl. We always joke about it, right? That's me. I'm conservative. I'm quiet. I was that girl that went in the garage and shut the garage door so I didn't have to talk to the neighbors, right? I'll get my groceries out. I just am that way. I still am that way. I'm naturally very shy. My husband is the total opposite. He definitely brings me out of my shell. So I just, as I'm kind of standing up here and I'm just kind of thinking back and I look at it, it's not one specific behavior that got me to where I am. I missed leadership the first year that I was a coach, right? So you had to be a 2-star to go to leadership, and I missed it by 2 weeks. My second diamond didn't pop, and I watched all the other coaches go to leadership, and I kept thinking to myself, I deserve to be there. I worked harder than all of those other people. I deserve to be there. What are they doing that I'm not? And I remember going down to the basement and putting on my workout video and looking at my goal board, and I said, you know what, Melanie, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. You were supposed to fail that for a reason. You're not supposed to be there. And again, I never missed an event from that point forward because I thought to myself, I will outwork my competition. I will be more consistent, I will show up, I will show people that you can do this, and that is how I created that momentum in my business. It's moving from one failure to the next without really losing faith in your dreams. And I don't believe that I was given anything. I believe that I earned everything that I have, and I worked hard for it, and I did it the right way. I did exactly the way the business plan is laid out. I was telling this morning, the ladies and gentlemen that were in the Diamond Breakfast, I didn't pay a cent for advertising for 3.5 years. I built my blog, I built my like page, I built my Instagram on me, all on me. Because I didn't have any extra money. So if you're sitting out there looking at these coaches sponsoring these ads and doing these beautiful websites, you don't have to do that. You have to do the business the way it's laid out. You have to invite people. People are not gonna come to you. They're not just gonna find you. You have to do the hard work of finding them. And the biggest thing you can do right now is sit back and say to yourself, okay, out of all the things that Melanie said today, what could I improve upon? Am I consistent? Am I disciplined? Do I work from a list? Have I gotten results? Have I done a fitness program from beginning to end and journaled it publicly? Am I willing to go out there and put myself out there, put my blinders on, because I believe in the mission of the company? Because I believe without a shadow of a doubt that Beachbody has our best interests at heart. I mean, I'm on the coach advisory board. I get to sit in all the meetings and hear what our vision is and where we're going as a company, and they're good people. Like, they are good people, and I'm usually a pretty good judge of character, and I can usually read the BS when I see it. And I truly believe that when Carl speaks, that every bone in his body, he wants to make our nation a better place. And I know that, I feel that, and I stand behind all the crazy customer service issues we have and coach relations stuff that goes on, because I know it's gonna get better. I just know that it is, and I truly do believe that. But I do believe that the people that are here a year from now are the ones that are pumping the well when there's no water coming out. And many of you might be at that point right now. And there are many people that quit right when the first drop happens. And they're seeing a little bit of success, but it's not fast enough. It's not fast enough for you. Trust the process. Because like I said, I was getting nothing. I was having a really hard time getting to Diamond. I was having a really hard time, raising my income, getting working coaches. But because I was so consistent at showing the message and sharing that message and talking about being a leader long before I ever felt that I was a leader, I was presenting the business opportunity as a one-star diamond coach. I was acting like I was a superstar diamond coach. But because I had that vision, what happened is the well started to just flow. And once you begin to create momentum, all of those sacrifices that you make, all that time you invested in your business, things start to happen faster and the success happens faster and that wheel starts going, and before you know it, you step back and you say to yourself, oh my gosh, this is my life. This just happened. And I did this all because I just wanted to help one person change their life. And so what I want you guys to do is don't wait for the perfect time. Don't sit there and say, well, I'm busy right now. My kids are in school, I'm volunteering, I'm active in my church, I've got a full-time job, I'm expecting another baby, I'll get to it. No, do it now. There's never gonna be a perfect time. If you want something in your life, anything, whether it's full-time or part-time, whatever it is, you have to go now. Don't be a collector of information. I've said that before. Don't be a collector of information. Do not walk out of this room and tuck those notes away and not look at them again. If you don't take action, somebody else is going to build the dream that you wish that you had. So thank you guys so much for having me here today.